with the victims, and he did also say that yes, one individual there has survived this entire crash. These are images of just a little while earlier where the Union Home Minister Amit Shah was accompanied by the Aviation Minister and also the Gujarat Chief Minister there. He's met with the victims, he's visited the hospital, he was also at the crash site. And this is where, remember, he's trying to get a better sense of what has happened. He said, we stand with the victims and we will ensure that there is a thorough probe. And Ankit, that's exactly what people want. You know, we want answers. We want accountability. This is a tough time, Ankit, but you've been there at the ground zero for the last many minutes. I want to throw it away to you as you will talk us through what you're seeing around you.
Deepthi, you know, there is a possibility if I start walking, you may lose my signal. But I am trying to make my way to that floor, the first floor of the mess where here. There was a mango tree and a lot of mangoes, in fact, have fallen here. Some shoes and remains as far as this place is concerned. If I'm still in connection, there is a big, I don't know what is this, if it's a boiler or something here. And what you see, look at that. That's the point of impact. That's also part of the plane, how it went inside this building. We are now inside the mess area, inside the hostel of the medical college. And what you are seeing at this moment, in that part of the plane which was hanging, which I showed you earlier from outside, that's the plane I'm showing you from inside. So these just come a little inside. You will just see this is the board. Doctors Association 2024-2025, BJ Medical College and Civil Hospital. This is the mess of that area, and that's the place where the impact, in fact, had taken place. And you can see a lot of fact. I will see if I can try and make sense. Okay. This debris, which must have been broken from the piece that you saw inside the plane. Time I see the belongings of people, that's a very this entire day turned out to be for people, those who were very possibly must have been very excited on their way to London, and how life quickly changed for them. If I'm still with you, if you guys can still hear me, this is the place where you'll see on one hand, while on one hand we are also live. On one hand, while you see this plane, you can also see at this moment the place where just let me jump here. Okay. Landing gear, the closest that we could see of the landing gear, and you can see the plane, the point of impact. It's the students used to be. So a lot of mattress. Used to, in fact, come and rest. And this is the mess. I want to just go inside, give you a sense of what it could have been at that point of time. Just somebody's I just want to very quickly, ladies and can you see all these plates, the food? in this canteen, gathering dust. There are all these plates set ready for some 50, 60 boys to come here and have their lunch. Have happened at the time when the impact took place. It came from there, and I can see a CCTV. It must have been on the roof, which has collapsed. You'll one after these benches where you come and eat. There are utensils all across. Imagine what would have happened that when they were eating, suddenly a plane crashes. Look at those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can go on, and you can see the food still. There is water all around here because somebody was not even able. Sudhish, just come here. So somebody was not just able to even begin eating, start their lunch. I can see the entire food on this table, and then tragedy struck. While they were here for their lunch, a plane was flying over them, and suddenly what is left is all this. The bags which came from the plane, the stuff which fell out from the plane. This is, we have been told that the maximum damage took place on the ground. This is where the 5 people, doctors, those who are eating here, very possibly on the benches which are this side. That's where they lost their lives. But it's so distressing. It's so difficult. It's so sad to see how in just moments, people, those who are going about with their daily life, came here to have their lunch, and life just totally turned on them, and 5 of them lost their life. Many are injured as well. When I see all those thalis there, one after another, lined up with food, waiting to be consumed, it just tells you the story, very, very sadly, of how this day turned out for all those people. Clothes strewn all around, debris across, broken walls, absolutely mangled fan and broken glasses. This entire area at this moment tells you the story, a very, very sad and devastating story of one of the biggest aviation crisis, the biggest aviation accident took place in the country. We are told that we got to clear this area. We'll respect what the police, in fact, is asking us to do. So we'll try and just make our way there. I just want to, before we completely go down, once again show you these mattresses, and on the other hand, the fuselage. This the part of that plane, along with those that landing gear, the tires that you are seeing behind me. So these just come a little forward, and we'll give you take a look. It's there was no time to, in fact, possibly the power failure, the engine failure, or whatever. The landing gear up, and the landing gear in those 52-second pictures that you saw are still hanging, still not completely up, and that's where the impact took place. And this is what is left of what happened this afternoon in Ahmedabad.
All right, Ankit, there at that very place today, that is just full of the debris, the charred remains, the mangled remains of Air India 171. The Dreamliner 787 that never ever has met a fate like this. But today was unfortunate, one of those days where we have seen it crashing within minutes of the takeoff, And not just that, it goes and hits this particular compound, the images of which you see on your screens, where our teams right now are stationed, where you also see teams of the NDRF and the other agencies right now in dark, literally scrambling to ensure that they are able to move out any kind of survivors. Because time is of the essence, it is getting dark, and it is ensure that everyone who's out there with any kind of hope is really pulled out. We've seen images of the Home Minister Amit Shah. I'm going to play out what he said in just a moment. But I also want to take it across to our team of reporters tracking this story. You've seen Ankit there, who's put out that very moving report of, in the mess there with even unfinished food. That is where death struck. I want to get in Gopi Manyar also, who's been at the forefront of getting us all that coverage. Gopi, why don't you tell us more about what we know? Is there more clarity about what possibly could have led to this? I do know that these are still early times and the focus is clearly on relief and rescue operations.
जो फोकस है वो रेस्क्यू एंड रिलीफ का ही मेजर फोकस है। साथ ही मैं आपको बता दूं कि जितने भी लोग हैं वहां पे हॉस्पिटल के अंदर डीएनए टेस्ट करवाए जा रहे हैं। जितने भी रिलेटिव्स हैं उनके डीएनए टेस्ट करने के बाद ही पता चलेगा कि कौन किसका रिलेटिव है, क्योंकि जो बॉडीज है वो पूरी तरीके से जल चुकी है। जहाँ पे आप डेब्रीज को देख रहे हैं, ये डेब्रीज जिस तरीके से पूरी बिल्डिंग वहां पे तहस नहस हो गई है, वैसे ही जितने भी लोग अंदर सवार थे उन लोगों की बॉडी की शिनाख्त तक नहीं हो पा रही है। उनको डीएनए की टेस्ट के जरिए पहचाना जाएगा। तो आज की रात पूरा रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन चलेगा। कल हो सकता है कि जब डीएनए टेस्ट का रिपोर्ट आए उसके बाद जो फैमिलीज है उनको ये बॉडीज जो है वो हैंड ओवर की जाएगी। अहमदाबाद का सिविल हॉस्पिटल है जहाँ पे इस वक्त सभी रिलेटिव्स के डीएनए लिए जा रहे हैं ताकि बॉडीज के साथ उसको मैच किया जा सके और जो परिजन है उनको वो डीएनए के टेस्ट के बाद उनको उनकी बॉडी जो है उसे सौंप दिया जाए। साथ ही इस पूरे हादसे में बेहद दुखद कह सकते हैं कि गुजरात बीजेपी के जो पूर्व अध्यक्ष रहे हैं, साथ ही गुजरात के पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री रहे विजय रूपानी का भी इस हादसे में निधन हुआ है। विजय रूपानी अहमदाबाद से लंदन जा रहे थे। लंदन में उनकी बेटी के घर पर बेटा हुआ है, उसी का सेलिब्रेशन था जिसके लिए वो लंदन जा रहे थे। हालांकि उनका जो परिवार है वो करीब एक हफ्ते पहले ही पहुंच गया था वहां पे, लेकिन विजय रूपानी को कोई जिम्मेदारी थी, कोई काम यहाँ पे सौंप दिया गया था बीजेपी के जरिए, जिसकी वजह से विजय रूपानी की जो आज की फ्लाइट थी, आज उन्होंने टेक ऑफ किया था। टेक ऑफ करने से पहले की कुछ तस्वीरें एयरपोर्ट की भी हमारे सामने आई है। विजय रूपानी अंदर एयरपोर्ट के अंदर जा रहे हैं, इस तरीके की एक तस्वीर भी हमारे पास सामने आई है। लेकिन सबसे दुखद हम कहेंगे कि पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री विजय रूपानी इस वक्त नहीं रहे हैं। उनका जो परिवार है वो पूरा लंदन में है, वो भी अब अहमदाबाद आने के लिए वहां से निकल चुका है। जिस तरीके से ये हादसा हुआ है, हालांकि बॉडीज को आइडेंटिफाई करना है कहीं पे भी, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से बॉडी हमने देखी थी पूरी तरीके से कहीं पे भी स्किन दिखाई नहीं दे रही थी, बिल्कुल जली हुई बॉडीज थी, तो उनको आइडेंटिफाई करना काफी मुश्किल होगा और उनका डीएनए टेस्ट करने के बाद ही आगे की जो प्रोसेस है वो हो पाएगी। लेकिन जिस तरीके से प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है, सबसे बड़ा सवाल प्लेन को लेकर यही है कि उसकी वजह क्या थी। और देखिए मैं आपको एक और जानकारी दे दूं कि ये जो हॉस्टल है, हॉस्टल में भी कई सारे बच्चे मौजूद थे। ये माना जा रहा है कि कम से कम 20 से ज्यादा जो स्टूडेंट्स है, जो नर्सिंग स्टूडेंट्स है, वो सारे इसमें मौजूद थे। तो उनमें से कितने की डेथ हुई है ये भी जानकारी अब तक सामने नहीं आ पाई है। हालांकि एक शख्स है जो प्लेन में सवार था, लेकिन वो इंसान जिसे हम कहेंगे कि मौत को भी मात देकर बाहर निकल आया, तो वो शख्स जो है उसका एक वीडियो अब धीरे धीरे वायरल होने लगा है सोशल मीडिया में। वो जानकारी हमें मिल पा रही है, वो भी इस वक्त अहमदाबाद की सिविल हॉस्पिटल में है। उसके साथ भी पूछताछ होगी कि क्या हुआ था, क्यों हुआ था, किस तरीके से हुआ था, क्या कोई बर्ड हिट हुआ था या उससे पहले, क्योंकि जिस तरीके से प्लेन टेक ऑफ करता है उसके बाद प्लेन जिस तरीके से धीरे धीरे नीचे आके बिल्डिंग को के साथ टकराता, और बिल्डिंग भी कोई बड़ी बिल्डिंग नहीं थी, 5 मंजिल आना बिल्डिंग, ग्राउंड +1 ग्राउंड +5 इस तरीके की ये बिल्डिंग है जिसके साथ ये प्लेन टकराता है। और देखिए प्लेन जहाँ पे टकराया है उसका मलबा पूरे इलाके में फैला हुआ था, तो उसके जो इंजन पार्ट्स है वो छत पे थे और उसी को धीरे धीरे वहां पे वाटर कैनन के जरिए जो बिल्डिंग हिट हो गई थी वो बिल्डिंग को भी धीरे धीरे कूलिंग दिया जा रहा था ताकि बिल्डिंग कहीं गिर न जाए। इसके अलावा जो दृश्य दिख रहा है ये वही वो लकी मैन है जिसे हम कहेंगे कि पूरा हादसा हुआ और इकलौता शख्स जो बचा हुआ है उसी की ये तस्वीर है। विश्वास कुमार इसका नाम है। उसे भी अभी मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट दी जा रही है, वो भी अहमदाबाद के सिविल हॉस्पिटल में। उसके साथ भी बातचीत होगी, वहां पे इंक्वायरी होगी कि क्या वजह है। ब्लैक बॉक्स जो है, क्योंकि किसी भी प्लेन का हादसा होता है तो उसमें ब्लैक बॉक्स बहुत महत्वपूर्ण हो जाता है, तो ब्लैक बॉक्स को रिकवर करने का काम भी एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी और जो फ्लाइट सिविल एविएशन एक्सपर्ट्स है उनके जरिए ये किया जा रहा है ताकि पूरा मलबा फैला हुआ है और लगातार वहां पे एनडीआरएफ की टीम के जरिए रेस्क्यू किया जा रहा है, अहमदाबाद फायर ब्रिगेड की टीम के जरिए रेस्क्यू किया जा रहा है और अब भी ये रेस्क्यू का काम जो है यहाँ पे जारी है। अब तक जो हमारे पास नंबर्स आए हैं उस नंबर्स के हिसाब से करीब 115 से ज्यादा डेड बॉडीज जो है उसे अहमदाबाद की सिविल हॉस्पिटल में पहुंचा दिया गया है।
Gopi, this is a very, very tough time. I'm sure, for the families who are out there giving their DNA samples. Why? Because they just want to ensure that they take the right body home. That is what a tragedy does to you. It changes everything within a matter of minutes. Gopi, I know that you have to go because you have to get more information for us. So I'm just letting her go and we'll get both Ankit and Gopi back with us. Remember, this is NDTV tracking this story from ground zero, getting you voices, getting you all the leads on investigation and a lot more. And I also want to take this opportunity to introduce Captain Saurabh Bhatnagar, and I want to thank him for his patience as we were trying to get you this ground reportage. He's a former senior captain for Indigo and also a senior captain for Air India Express. Captain Saurabh, when you heard this news and when you saw these images, what has been your first thought? I'm sure you must have assessed, and though I do know that these are still initial times, but there are a lot of unanswered questions.
Tragic, horrific, accident site, the video, everything. Being a pilot, I can understand what has happened, what could have gone wrong, something. But it's premature to say anything right now. I've been sitting here since 3 o'clock in the afternoon, appearing in various channels, and I'm quite surprised to see that everyone, those who are not remotely connected with aviation, forget about pilot, they have, put on their, I would say the analysis cap or something and try to analyze what could have gone wrong. That's so sad to see that people have been thinking so many theories. Nobody has actually saying that yes, we should wait for the official inquiry to commence. Also, I would like to put on record over and see, and when I see the footage, I don't see anybody cordoning off the area. This is actually a crime scene, I would say. Okay, the vital evidence, which will the inquiry will find out what exactly had gone wrong. So the area should have been cordoned because the aircraft investigation board does the investigation, they would require all these evidences. Having said that, it is I said yes, the worst accident in the history of the 787 Dreamliner. In fact, the first one. It was tragic, and I'm sure that all these investigating agencies, DGC, NTSB, even I think FAA has go. Everybody has, they're pulling in together their resources to find out the actual cause of the. What are we looking right now is prayers, and yes, to that survivor, yes, miraculous. Plus, what is the cause of the rather than fixing up the accountability. What I earlier today I heard somebody saying that that the home minister has come and he will start fixing the accountability. Rather before that, we are supposed to be finding out the cause of the accident. The footage everybody has seen, I think, across the country. What the footage says. Yes, the aircraft has gone down. Yes, the lift has. People say yes, it has. There is no lift in the aircraft. Otherwise, it would have gotten off the. The takeoff was uneventful. After that, started going down. What is the reason? Whether it was a bird hit? So theories are around. The landing gear is still down, supposed to be up, and all these things. So if you ask me as a pilot and flying for the last so many years, having 9,000 plus hours, I would say that I cannot say as of now whether it was a human error, technology, techniques, or I would say, man-machine difference or whatever. So premature to say anything as of now. The only thing I can say, we should wait for the official inquiry to commence, and
Yes.
some preliminary findings I am sure DGCA will come out with.
Yes, I appreciate, that candidness, Saurabh, because I think this is exactly how once you decide and you figure out what the problem is, can we look for solutions. It's also a pleasure to be joined by Jitendra Bhargavaji, the former executive director of Air India. Sir, you and I have been on multiple shows discussing so much when it comes to the aviation sector. But what a day to be, again meeting tonight, and just look at the humongous tragedy we are talking about. 241 people feared dead. The families there right now are at the hospital giving their DNA samples so that it can be matched with the charred remains, sir. Some uncomfortable questions ultimately will have to be asked and will have to be answered.
Yes, the first thing is it's a tragic, devastating, horrific accident resulting in numerous deaths. Look, and we have our heart goes out to them that look what they've gone through. They were must have been happily seen off at the airport by their relatives. And within a few minutes, this is what happened to them. Sad, sad, sad from all perspectives. But what we need to understand here is, and there is speculation all around as to what happened, and it's very clearly, yes, it's an accident that has happened. Who's at fault, why it happened? And when we look at the trend of accidents, of various aviation accidents, what we know are there are 7-8 factors that go into it. Certainly weather was not a part of it, inclement weather, bright sunshine in the afternoon, everything was there. Dreamliner aircraft, good aircraft, you can't fault the aircraft. The pilot, commander had 8,000 plus hours of flying, you can't really fault it, but then something has gone wrong. What is it that has gone wrong? And we have in aviation industry a standard operating procedure that when an accident takes place, irrespective of which part of the world it is, the aircraft manufacturer gets involved, in this case Boeing, airline Air India gets involved, the regulatory agency DGCA gets involved, and to find out what exactly happened. Now, it's a sad thing that one can start speculating and start giving judgments that this is what is it. I'm not one of them. I would wait for the formal inquiry to conclude and come forward to it. Okay, this is what happened. Now, when we look at Air India's track record or Indian aviation track record, is it any worse than any other airline in the world? It's as good as them. Now, when we look at the investigation that takes place, the reason is to find out what went wrong and why, so that aircraft manufacturers can look at those faults and improve the aircraft quality. Pilot training gets improved also. Airline looks at it, why did it happen? A lot of people tend to blame that, look, DGCA had issued notices and various kind of things to Air India. You ignored them and therefore paid a price to it. Or some passengers who flew the Delhi-Ahmedabad leg took this thing and said, look, this was not functional, this was not functional, forgetting that accident takes place when the plane is at fault regarding airworthiness. Not because the in-flight entertainment system is not working or the air conditioning is not up to standard or whatever the things are. So let's put it this way. It's a horrific tragedy that has taken place.
But, Mr. Bhargava, I just want to take that point a little further, and I want to also, on our screens, just talk about more details that a lot of our viewers today have been talking about through the day. And you're right, because I have seen a lot of those posts on the social media myself. But tell me something, there are checks that are done before you will see a plane in the skies, right? I mean, as people, as consumers, when you're boarding a flight, the fact that the next few minutes or the next few seconds could just change everything, could be the difference between life and death, Mr. Bhargava, is something that again today has driven home with such an enormity that people are actually in shock.
No denying. The fact is, it happened during daytime. There were videos recording, and people have been playing those videos over and over again. So people are seeing what went through. Normally, it doesn't happen this way. It's in a remote place, some accident takes place, etc. But this is in a major city airport, live coverage, and continuing to look at it. So therefore, there will be, I think, a traumatic effect on those family members who have lost their good near ones. But let's also look at from the airline perspective. Airline get hurt the most. There's a stigma on an airline when you have an accident, irrespective of what fault, whose fault is it, or why it took place. So you have to look at from that perspective. And today I've been saying it very clearly. Let's concentrate or focus on the families who have lost their near and dear ones. We will have time to speculate, to come to conclusion, accuse, all those kind of things can be done. But today I have been very clear about it. And as an ex-Air Indian, let me put it this way, it's been 15 years ago that I retired. Air India relationship is still there, and I too have affected. For the first 2 hours after watching it on television, I refused every television channel that I'm not speaking, because it hurts. So it is not a question of that Air India was wanting, they've been violating, or DGCA can hold them up, or they can do it. The fact is, yes, there'll be time for everything to look at. Somebody said, look, Air India aircraft, particularly Dreamliner, were being maintained by the Turkish company. Post-Operation Sindoor, the contract has been terminated. The question to be asked, did they get an alternative?
Okay.
Now, these kind of things will all have to be answered, but yet on another day. I'm just putting it across that one can go on and on with reasoning and say, was it this, was it that, was this the reason for it? Let's look at it. The fact is, yes, AI Engineering Services Limited was part of Air India prior to the disinvestment. They used to maintain the aircraft.
Okay.
Post disinvestment, Air India is a separate airline. AIESL is a separate thing. They maintain aircraft, for example, for Kuwait Airlines, 1777 every month. But Indian carriers have decided to get the aircraft service, major maintenance, to be done abroad. So people will have a fresh look into it. Is this a right decision? Was Turkish Airlines the right choice for it? Post Sindoor that we are looking at it, post the cancellation of contracts, etc. So I would confine myself today to one simple thing. Our heart goes out to the families. Air India has suffered a serious blow. They will take time to overcome. Let's not add kind of a thing and say, oh, they could have avoided it, they could have done this, they got a stinker from DGCA and all. As I've often stated,
yes,
the media report one part of it. There are three parts to it. There's a complainant, DGCA issues a show-cause notice, and airline responds. Now you can't
Mr.
only
Bhargava,
look at the
I hate to jump in here, but see, on a day like today, and like you also said, we are talking of the families. What is it that the families want to know, Captain Saurabh? They only want to know that what was our fault? What was our fault? Why did our loved ones die? Now, I appreciate what you're saying, Mr. Bhargava, and I realize where you're coming from, but let's broaden up the entire picture and the horizon, as this is also a story that has seen today that walking miracle. That's the gentleman that you see on the top right of your screens, the only individual who survived this, Captain Saurabh, and he jumped off is what we are given to understand, and he's also in no condition to talk right now. He has injuries, he's been treated at a hospital, but that is that little glimmer of hope, in this otherwise very, very dark day today, Captain Saurabh.
Yeah, Deepti, actually, yes. The families definitely will ask. That's a natural thing. What went wrong? What was our fault? What our loved one fault? We just booked the tickets, everything. But now, tell me one thing, how can you say anything about an accident so prematurely that what could have gone wrong, whether it was whose mistake was it and who should be held accountable for? Right now, what Mr. Bhargav said, that our heart goes out to each and every next of kin of the people, those who died in the crash. So as of now, families definitely will get answer once the inquiry get. That's why the inquiries are held, to find out the cause of the the accident, take actions, and to avoid these things in future. And definitely, through the proper channels, the investigative agencies will definitely give an answer. But in any kind of accident, whether it's in a land accident or a train, any kind of accident, it's too prematurely to say what the families want, that what went wrong, why it immediately after takeoff it went down. So we all saw the footage. So I think it's too early to give any kind of premature answer to anyone, which later on we regret that no, that's not the correct thing. So I think we should wait for the inquiries to get over, or some preliminary investigation, or the first report, I would say, to come out.
Okay. We also have Sanat Kaul, who's an aviation expert, joining us. Thank you so much, sir, also for your time. But before I come to you, I also want to take this opportunity to play out the first response we've had from the Union Home Minister, Amit Shah, who's been on ground zero. He's met with the victims. He's visited the hospital. He was also at the crash site, after which this is what he had to say.
दोपहर को एयर इंडिया की फ्लाइट संख्या AI 171 दुर्घटनाग्रस्त हुई और कई पैसेंजर इसके अंदर हताहत होने की संभावनाएं हैं। इस घटना से पूरा देश क्षुब्ध है और पूरा देश एक साथ पूर्ण संवेदनाओं के साथ ये जो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण हादसे में पैसेंजर हताहत हुए हैं, इनके परिजनों के साथ खड़ा है। सबसे पहले मैं भारत सरकार, गुजरात सरकार, भारत सरकार के प्रधानमंत्री जी और गुजरात सरकार की ओर से भी जो लोग हताहत हुए हैं, इनके परिजनों के प्रति गहरी संवेदना व्यक्त करता हूं। 10 ही मिनटों में हादसे के भारत सरकार के पास सूचना पहुंची। तुरंत ही मैंने मुख्यमंत्री जी, यहाँ के गृह मंत्री, होम डिपार्टमेंट के कंट्रोल रूम, सिविल एविएशन डिपार्टमेंट, सिविल एविएशन मंत्री, सभी से संपर्क किया। प्रधानमंत्री जी का भी तुरंत ही फोन आ गया और भारत सरकार और गुजरात सरकार के सभी डिपार्टमेंट एक साथ होकर राहत और बचाव कार्य में लगे। इस विमान में कुल मिलाकर 230 यात्री देश के और विदेश के और 12 क्रू मेंबर सवार थे। इसमें से एक यात्री का बचने का अच्छा समाचार मिला है, मैं उनको मिलकर आया हूं। मृत्यु का आंकड़ा तो डीएनए परीक्षण और यात्रियों की पहचान के बाद ही अथॉरिटी अधिकृत रूप से घोषित करेगी, मगर जो यात्री बचा है उसको मैं मिलकर आया हूं। घटना के तुरंत बाद गुजरात सरकार ने बहुत त्वरा से डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की सारी इकाइयों को अलर्ट करते हुए, चाहे हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट हो, चाहे फायर ब्रिगेड हो, चाहे पुलिस विभाग हो, भारत सरकार की भी CAPF को संपर्क कर सभी ने एक साथ मिलकर राहत और बचाव का कार्य चालू किया। मगर 1.25 लाख लीटर ईंधन विमान के अंदर ही था और लगभग गर्मी तापमान इतना ऊंचा हो गया कि किसी को बचाने की मौका ही नहीं मिला। अब मैं घटना स्थान पर भी जाकर आया हूं। सारे यात्रियों के मृतदेह को बाहर निकालने का काम लगभग समाप्त हो चुका है। जितने यात्रियों के परिजन यहाँ पहुँच चुके हैं वो सबका DNA लेने की कार्यवाही भी 2-3 घंटों में समाप्त हो जाएगी। विदेश में जिनके परिजन हैं उनको सूचना देने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है और जैसे ही पहुंचते हैं उनके भी DNA सैंपल लिए जाएंगे और मृतदेहों की पहचान के लिए जितने मृतदेह मिले हैं इनके भी डीएनए सैंपल लेने की कार्यवाही समाप्त हो चुकी है। गुजरात में ही लगभग 1000 के आसपास डीएनए टेस्ट करने पड़ेंगे। ये सभी टेस्ट करने की क्षमता गुजरात में विकसित है।
All right, that's a very detailed response earlier that has come in from the Home Minister Amit Shah. There are various facets to this entire story, and remember, as the story today stands, it's also about those moments of the crash that has been captured on camera that NDTV has been able to bring to you through the day. We also have our guests who continue to stay with us, but I want to first take it to Ratandeep, who's joining us, and also Harsha. And both of them, remember, have spoken to those who today are affected because they've lost their loved ones. Harsha, to you first.
Well, absolutely tragic, lives cut short, people who were going to rebuild a future, a young bride who was going to meet her husband for the first time after she'd got married, and she bid her family a tearful farewell, and a businessman from Udaipur who's lost both his children. It's really a tragedy that has sort of epic proportions, people whose lives will never ever be the same again. Mr. Modi, from Udaipur, his family lived largely in Ahmedabad. He lost both his children in their 20s. They had done their MBA and they had gone. The brother sister were traveling on that flight. They were going for a holiday to London. Nobody is at his family home in Udaipur. They've all gone to Gujarat. Then there was that young bride, Khushbu, whose videos we saw, the last Instagram videos where she's bidding farewell to her family members. She's from a small village in Balotra, probably the first time she's ever traveled out of the country. That slightly nervous, winsome smile at that last photograph that was taken of her with her father at the airport. And that's the last post from her end. And then very, very tragically, Dr. Komi Vyas, who had given up a job in Udaipur to move to London with her husband, Dr. Pratik Joshi. She's from a family in Baswada. Dr. Pratik Joshi's family, in fact, is a well-to-do family in South Rajasthan in Baswada. His father is a radiologist. And he had come back just 2 days ago to take the family back permanently with him. And you can see that happy smile in that selfie that Dr. Pratik has taken with Komi. He has, there's a smile on Pratik's face, there's a smile on Komi's face, and those twin children sitting across the aisle with him and the older daughter. They're all looking into the camera. The children are trying to smile, but they're not really being able to muster it, while the girl is beaming. And that was the last selfie that she posted. There's the youth from Bikaner who died. There are two people who went to London looking for a better opportunity. There was Veer Chand. He used to run a catering business, and a lot of businessmen from Ahmedabad actually employ cooks from South Rajasthan. So he was going there. He used to keep coming and going. He would go work there for 2-3 months and come back. And he had taken Prakash Menaria with him for the first time that Prakash was traveling on a job overseas. They both died in that crash. And there's the young girl, Payal, whose parents live in Himmatnagar, who was going abroad for further studies. So these are the stories from Rajasthan. 12 people now. We've got the entire list. We've got 12 people who've died from Rajasthan. Remember, Ahmedabad is very close to South Rajasthan. So Udaipur, Baswada, that area, the closest airport is Ahmedabad. And actually, it was but natural that a lot of people who were traveling to London took the flight out from Ahmedabad.
Harsha, for the moment, thank you. I want to also get in Ratandeep quickly before we go back to Ankit, who, remember, is on ground zero, and he's just going to join us in a moment. But Ratandeep, very, very similar stories that you are also hearing and getting to us.
That's right. In fact, from Manipur, there are two young girls who were part of the cabin crew. You have Ningthoi Sharma, who comes from a village in Thoubal district of Manipur, a village girl who always wanted to fly. We had exclusively spoken to her sister. We'll play out that bite as well in some time. And her sister said that when she was pursuing her graduation, that point of time, she appeared for the, in 2023, she appeared for the selection in Air India and got selected at the first go. And she has has been working since 2023. You also have in the the family has not heard from Air India as of now in terms of any news about the girl. Her phone is still ringing, but there is no response. That's what her sister told us. Also from Kangkopi district of Manipur, mother is waiting to hear about Sing Song, L Sing Song, who is about 26-year-old. She actually only joined Air India last year. Now Sing Song's family is a victim of the ethnic violence in Manipur. They used to live in Imphal, but in 2023 violence, they lost their home and they had to take refuge in refugee camps, in internally displaced people camps in Kangkopi district, and now they live on rent. They had lost their father many years ago. She has two other siblings, and in fact her mother had raised her alone.
A lot of these families today are grieving. Our hearts really go out to them. Ratandeep and Harsha, only for the moment I'm thanking both of you, but I want to go back to our colleague Ankit, who's on ground zero right now. Ankit, the families still looking for answers, the families still looking for some bit of accountability, but you've been there, you got us those remains of the mess and everything else.
And that's all that remains at this moment, Deepthi. Imagine what the day would have been. I mean, this is a residential area for the doctors, at this hospital. And this is where must be buzzing with these junior doctors, those who were having their lunch at that point of time when the impact took place. I once again want to show you, at this moment, that the area that you see behind me, that's the baggage hold, which holds baggage of the aircraft after the impact. Just see what is left. Baggages. So many people must have packed them with so much care, with so much dreams and hopes, and all of them now bundled one top of each other, telling you the story of absolutely devastation that took place at this moment. Let me also very quickly bring you up to speed with some very latest news. As we speak, and I would show you visuals when they come out, there is a big team which has come from Delhi, which is investigation, the air crash investigation team comprising of DGCA and others. They are going across across this place. At this moment, they are on the first floor where we were earlier. So this is out of bounds for people like us at this moment. The journalists are not allowed at this moment, but they are inside, and they are in fact investigating and taking a look at this entire place. All this debris that you see, the mangled remains, the burnt, charred remains, that's all that is left of that aircraft. Just over here, if you go from these stairs, which you see at this moment, and you go on the first floor, is the place where the part of the aircraft is, along with the landing gear, which is still hanging, as we speak. I would also, what I'll do, go across and speak to a few of these people. Young men of the 108 ambulance service, they were here. They were one of the first people, those who came here when the impact took place. आप लोग सब 108 में काम करते हैं, तो आप लोग सबसे पहले यहाँ पर पहुँचे थे जब यहाँ पर आप आए थे सबसे पहले?
रेस्क्यू टीम से पहले हम सब आए।
रेस्क्यू टीम से पहले, फायर ब्रिगेड से पहले आप लोग?
हाँ, क्योंकि हमने देखा था आंखों से कि हमारा यहाँ
कहाँ पर थे तब?
हम 1200 बीट में से यहाँ से 200 मीटर की दूरी पे हमारी ऑफिस है, बड़ी सिविल है ना, सिविल कैंपस 1200 बीट करके हॉस्पिटल है, वहाँ पे थे। तो जैसे ब्लास्ट हुआ, आग निकली, धुआं निकला, तो हम वहाँ से आ गए।
क्या नाम है दोस्त आपका?
मुकेश।
तो जब आप लोग यहाँ पर पहुँचे थे सबसे पहले, तो क्या नजारा था यहाँ
पे? नहीं था यहाँ पे, ये तो पूरा धुआं सब था। वो अतुल्य है ना बाजू में, वहाँ पे हम पहुँचे थे, क्योंकि वहाँ का रास्ता वहाँ पे जुड़ता है।
तो यहाँ पर आके लोगों को आप लोगों ने मदद की, आप भी आए थे यहाँ पर? क्या नाम है आपका?
विकास भाई।
विकास, आप कब पहुँचे थे यहाँ पे?
कम से कम 5-7 मिनट में यहाँ पे पहुँच गए थे हम।
तो जब आप आए थे तो यहाँ पर, क्योंकि तो तभी यहाँ पर प्लेन क्रैश हुआ था?
वो पता नहीं, वहाँ से हमने 2 लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया था। वो बोलते 2 डॉक्टर थे, हाँ, और एक का नाम भास्कर था।
डॉक्टर्स थे दोनों यहाँ पे, जूनियर डॉक्टर थे जो यहाँ पे रहते थे।
वो पता है, हाँ उस उधर की भी, हाँ
जो जली हुई बिल्डिंग्स हैं वहां पर, जो इससे पहले। सो दीप्ति, यू नो, जस्ट फॉर रेफरेंस, आई मीन दिस इज द पॉइंट ऑफ इम्पैक्ट एंड द बिल्डिंग्स आर अ लिटिल फर्दर अवे फ्रॉम दैट. सो दीज पीपल वर रेस्क्यूइंग द डॉक्टर्स फ्रॉम दैट वेरी प्लेस, you know, when the impact took place and the fire engulfed all those buildings. Let me also show you very quickly. मैं एक साथ जाइएगा, मैं एक सेकंड में आता हूँ. These are the people, those who have come for the, you know, for the investigation. They are being shown around the building, and I would once again very quickly show you the building where the plane in the impact took place. The plane entered from. That's the part which is hanging off that plane, along with the landing gear, which is still in fact hanging from there. And let's in fact go back to those people, those who had helped people, you know, the doctors. So वो जो उधर की दो बिल्डिंग थी उसमें पूरी तरह से आग लगी हुई थी जब आप लोग आए?
पूरा हुआ, यहाँ से पूरा मॉल जल गया था.
जो डॉक्टर आपको मिले?
हाँ, दो मिले थे ना, वहाँ से दो जल गए थे. तो एक, हाँ, तो एक बोल रहा था मैं भास्कर हूँ, ऐसा बोल रहा था, मैं भास्कर हूँ. तो हमने उसका नाम लिख लिया था अंदर से. और
लेकर फिर आप अस्पताल गए?
हाँ, अस्पताल लेके गए, ट्रॉमा सेंटर में.
उसके बाद आप लोग लगातार यहाँ पर आते रहे. कितने लोगों को आपने यहाँ से निकाला?
शायद 5-7 लोगों को हम बॉडी लेके गए थे. सब
बॉडीज भी लेके गए?
हाँ, 5-7 लोग.
5-7 बॉडीज भी.
दो लोगों को जिंदा लेके गए थे.
2 जिंदा लोगों को. तो जिनकी बॉडीज लेके गए थे, महिला पुरुष पता चल रहा था बहुत ज्यादा जले हुए थे?
बहुत ज्यादा जल गए थे. वो तो नहीं कह सकते क्योंकि ज्यादा बहुत.
आप भी थे यहाँ पे सर?
हाँ, आप भी सर इधर था.
साथ में था आप लोग? सब लोग
साथ में था.
तो यहाँ से 2 लोगों को जिंदा आप लेके गए, जो दोनों डॉक्टर्स थे, जूनियर डॉक्टर्स. यू नो, दिस इज ऑल्सो ड्यू टू दीज पीपल, दोज हु दीप्ति वेरी क्विकली केम. इट्स नॉट दैट देयर वाज अ कॉल मेड. थैंक यू सो मच हमसे बात करने के लिए. एंड यू नो व्हाट दे डिड, एंड पोस्ट दैट दे वर द वंस, दोज हु वर एबल टू रेस्क्यू 2 of the doctors, those who were badly burnt, and they also took some bodies from here. Now remember, because of the situation on the ground and because of the condition of those bodies, what we have been told is that the DNA testing, the blood sampling, the DNA testing will start taking place, and post that the bodies will be handed over. At least what we know at this moment, 186 bodies have been confirmed at the civil hospital. We don't yet know whether, I've been told that 90% work of clearing the bodies has happened, but there is still some sections, some areas where the work is still going on. And after the bodies are completely cleared, only then the debris would be picked up and cleared from this area. Because remember, the crash investigation, there are multiple teams. There is DGCA involved. The Air India is also doing its investigation. And apart from that, people from Boeing are also expected to come here so that they can investigate. And all the places where the debris is strewn, especially the engines, which I showed you earlier, along with the fuselage and other places, they will be very, very important in conducting this entire investigation. What we also know at this moment is that there was a specialized team which was sent, which was looking for the black box of the plane. We do not have any confirmation whether the black box of the plane has been found yet or not, but that is going to be the most crucial, in fact, evidence as far as the agencies are concerned, to try and piece together of what happened to this ill-fated flight of Air India, the Dreamliner. Which was, you know, the first, in fact, crash in its history, the one which was going from Delhi, Ahmedabad to London.
Yes, Ankit, it's going to be a long night for these families and also for a lot of these agencies right now involved in relief and rescue operations. I'm going to come back to you in a little moment, Ankit, as we'll continue to get our viewers this ground coverage and a lot more details that have come in. On your screens are also responses that have come in today from across the country and across the world, as you have the world mourning this humongous tragedy tonight. Next, let me play out a full report that has come in from our colleague Gopi Manyar, who again has been on ground zero. She's spoken to a lot of those families who got this devastating news. They were left completely in grief, and Gopi spoke to them to understand how will they deal with the situation and clearly what has been on their mind.
अहमदाबाद में प्लेन क्रैश हुआ है जिसमें 200 से ज़्यादा लोगों की मौत हुई है। इस वक्त हमारे साथ एक रिलेटिव मौजूद है जिनके 5 परिवार के सदस्य जो है वो इस प्लेन के अंदर मौजूद थे। इस वक्त उनकी हालात जो है वो बेहद बुरे हैं क्योंकि वो समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, क्योंकि वो अपने रिश्तेदारों को यहाँ पे छोड़ने के लिए आए थे एयरपोर्ट पर, और एयरपोर्ट से लैंड होते टेक ऑफ करते ही प्लेन क्रैश हो गया है। उनकी जो तस्वीर है वो भी उनके मोबाइल के अंदर है, आप तस्वीर दिखाएंगे। ये वो 5 लोग हैं जो यहाँ पे, ये तस्वीर आप देख सकते हैं, ये 5 लोग जो प्लेन के अंदर सवार थे, इनकी शिनाख्त तक नहीं हो पा रही है, इस तरीके के हालात है। आपसे एक चीज पूछते हैं, ये कौन है आपके रिलेटिव, बेटी है, कौन है ये लोग?
ये हमारे फ्रेंड है, दोस्त है हमारे।
मेरी लड़की इनके घर पे रहती है, वहाँ पे लंदन।
और ये लोग अहमदाबाद में आए हुए थे?
हाँ, वेकेशन करने के लिए आए।
वेकेशन करने के लिए अहमदाबाद आए ले, बकरीद मनाने के लिए।
और आज आप ड्रॉप करने आए थे उनको एयरपोर्ट पर? उसके
एयरपोर्ट पे ड्रॉप करने आए थे।
बिल्कुल, ये दूसरे रिलेटिव्स हैं, उनसे भी बात करते हैं। आप बताइए ये लोग कौन है और कब यहाँ पे आए हुए थे?
ये लंदन से अभी वेकेशन करने के लिए आए थे, बराबर। उनके साथ में हमारे रिलेटिव और जाने के थे। वो अचानक ही उनकी टिकट भी हम लोगों ने कंफर्म करी, परसों उनकी टिकट कंफर्म करी, और अचानक उनको भी साथ में भेजना पड़ा। वो आनंद से थे, और बाद में ये लोग वेकेशन करने जा रहे, हम ठेठ एयरपोर्ट तक के हमने उनको गुड बाय करा। उनको क्या सब हम मिले करे, ठेठ तक के गए वो। फिर हम अर्धे रास्ते आ गए ना, उसके बाद हमने पीछे देखा ना कुछ न आगे, तो बहुत सारा धुआं लगा, इतना सारा धुआं लगा। तो हमने बोला भाई कहीं हुआ होगा कुछ छोटा मोटा। फिर हम लोग थोड़ा आगे गए, फिर मेरी बहन को मैं अपने जनता नगर पास लेके गया, बहन बने हुई को। वहाँ बाजू में चलो अभी आप खाना खा के जाओ, आप आनंद कैसे जाएंगे? तो उन्होंने बोला चलो ठीक है। वो खाना खाने हम बैठने वाले थे, मैं हमको थोड़ी न्यूज़ देखी ऐसी कि भाई अभी जो लंदन जाने वाला प्लेन क्रैश हो गया क्या। तो हम लोग खाना वाना सब रख के हम लोग फिर वहाँ से सीधे सिविल आ गए। अभी तक हमको कुछ आइडिया नहीं आ रहा है, कोई बता ही नहीं रहा क्या है क्या नहीं है। और हम लाशें देख के हमारा दिमाग काम नहीं करता है। हमने 2 लाश देख के हम बिल्कुल नर्वस हो गए। हम
पहचान कर पा रहे हैं?
नहीं, पता भी पता पहचान ही नहीं हो रही है बहन, क्या है क्या नहीं है।
बिल्कुल पहचान नहीं हो पा रही है। जितने भी लोग अंदर, जितनी भी लाशें आई हुई है, और करीब 200 से ज़्यादा लोगों की मौत की जानकारी मिल रही है। और ये जो रिलेटिव्स है, ये रिलेटिव्स बेहद, क्योंकि वो उनको छोड़ने के लिए आए थे एयरपोर्ट पर, उन्हें छोड़ा, और छोड़ने के बाद उनको लगा था कि वो खुशी खुशी लंदन चले जाएंगे, लेकिन ये हादसे ने उनको भी पूरी तरीके से हिला के रख दिया है।
We've also spoken to a few eyewitnesses who are recalling what they saw. Sit back and listen in.
5-6 लोग हमने बचाया और सिविल के अंदर सारों करने हम भेज दिए, तो किसी की ताकत भी नहीं के अंदर जा सके।
बाहर निकला तो मैंने देखा कि आवाज, जोर से आवाज आया विंग्स का, फिर पूरा धुआं भर गया। लोग यहाँ से भगदड़ मची। उसके बाद आके ये देख रहे थे ये हादसा की स्थिति। आने के बाद देखा कि पूरा मलबा बिखरा हुआ, आग लगी है, पूरा धुआं गुबारा है, कुछ भी दिखाई नहीं दे रहा, समझ में नहीं आ पा रहा था क्या है।
So these are eyewitnesses, remember, talking of the moment of the crash when they saw this happening. And then we'll also put out those videos because now it is becoming clearer, the moment of the crash that has been captured from multiple angles right now. And this is also our colleague Shiv helping us decode what possibly could have gone wrong.
The experts we've been speaking to, each and every one of them passenger jet pilots, including at least 3 787 Dreamliner pilots, have all talked about the various complexities that will have to be gone into by the crash probe. But just by virtue of those 2 videos that we have seen of that horrific crash of flight 171, they point to the flaps. Now, the flaps are these components of the wing structure that you see here. And if you've ever been on a passenger jet and sat on a window seat near the wing, you've probably noticed these parts of those wing actually extend and bend down. And what they do when they do that is provide a much more surface area to the wing at an angled, at a particular angle, therefore providing more surface area to lift the plane plane up because you've got the wind hitting the flaps and it allows the pilots to get the plane to climb much more efficiently. So this is a standard configuration takeoff of a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. This is a Boeing photograph and I've pointed to the flaps. Now this still image is from that second video that we've seen, and every pilot I've spoken to says this looks like a clean configuration, which means the flaps that you see in that first picture are actually retracted here, which means the aircraft's wing is not in the takeoff configuration, and what that implies is this aircraft did not have the requisite wing configuration with the flaps extended in order to generate the kind of lift needed to put the aircraft in a steady climb. And that perhaps explains why just a few seconds after taking off, it became very apparent that there was something catastrophically wrong. The aircraft, instead of climbing, which it would have done if the flaps were extended, and we don't know the reason just yet, seems to plateau. It flattens out, it levels out, and then simply flies into the ground across just about 32 seconds after taking off. Now, obviously, the crash probe is going to go into why this configuration happened in this manner, because these were very, very qualified pilots. What went catastrophically wrong? The entire sequence of events has been captured on video, and therefore that will be a starting point, perhaps, over what happened to Flight 171. But the flaps will be key to that investigation.
Yes, so what happened and what led to this humongous tragedy is something that is still a question that is being asked. It's a matter right now pending investigation. Remember, 242 people on board. One has miraculously walked alive. 169 out of these 242, remember, have been Indian, 53 British nationals, 1 Canadian and 7 Portuguese. Also, our colleague Gauri Dwivedi is getting us highlights of how the world across, we've seen responses coming in from leaders who are standing with India in this tough time.
Heartbreaking visuals, actually. I want to start and tell our viewers, this is two of those 61 foreign nationals who were there on that aircraft, and this is their final video before that boarded that ill-fated aircraft. And let me now tell you, these are two of those 53 British passengers who were on that ill-fated flight. This is the nationalities of all of them. There were 169 Indian nationals who were on that flight, 53 British, 7 Portuguese nationals and a Canadian national as well. 53 British nationals were there. 2 of them you saw in that video, their last video before they boarded that aircraft, and the last words they actually said, which the world caught. Let me now tell you some of the international reactions that have come in on one of the worst aircraft disasters that has taken place. Keir Starmer has responded, and in fact he's put out, as I said, there's a very large number of British nationalities who were there on that aircraft, which is why Keir Starmer also put out that very heartbreaking message saying that the scenes emerging of a London-bound plane carrying many British nationals crashing in the Indian city of Ahmedabad are just devastating. Let's move ahead. Let's share some of the other reactions that have come in. Vladimir Putin has also reacted. Russia Today has put that out, saying there's sincere sympathies and support to the families of victims. There are more heads of state who have reacted. There's also Emmanuel Macron, who's put out a message a short while back. I'm going to read that out. But before that, David Lammy, the UK Foreign Minister, has said that UK is working very closely with Indian authorities to ensure that whatever help that they can provide is extended to them. They also, of course, need to be accountable to the 53 British families who need answers. And also, of course, they want to know more about their the victims. Then there is Ursula von der Leyen, who's reacted, saying that condolences to the families. Let's move ahead. Let's show some of the other reactions that have also come in. That's the German foreign minister, who said that he's shocked, just like the world is. One of the worst disasters that have taken place in the last two and a half decades. Lastly, there's also the Australian Prime Minister who's reacted. Then there is the Russian envoy. Heartbreaking news coming from Ahmedabad. He qualified and said that whatever help that is needed, Russia will extend that to Indian authorities. That is the Australian Prime Minister saying his thoughts are there with the victims' families. And lastly, that is the French envoy who said that deeply saddened by reports of plane crash. As I said, Emmanuel Macron has also put out a statement, a condolence message to Prime Minister Modi. And these, of course, are the latest set of international reactions that have come in.
So it's been a dark day and it's going to be a long night for all these families waiting for some bit of news for their loved ones. Now, we did hear the Home Minister earlier saying that the DNA samples of most of these relatives right now is being taken to ensure that accordingly their loved ones' last remains are handed over to them. Parallelly, you have investigations that are going to continue through this night and through the next many days. The black box will hold the key to find out and answer questions as to what happened. In the meantime, on your screens are helpline numbers that can be reached out for any more help. NDTV will continue to report on that story with our teams on Ground Zero. On the other side, back with more.